What is Odinala? What is omenana? Now, in recent times, there has been a lot of misconceptions, misunderstandings, wrong definitions about what Odinala is. When young people say they are going back to Odinala, a lot of parents or others in society would say that they are going back to idol worshipping. Now, before I even go into dissociating idol worshipping or whatever it is Christians call it from Odinala, I would like for us to define what Odinala is, because it is through understanding that you would appreciate a term or a practice or a philosophy. It is through understanding the word. And how do you understand a word? The best way to understand any word, whether in English language or the Igbo language, is to go to the etymology of that word. The word Odinala encompasses 3 words, or, di, or 4 words, or, di, na, ala. Now, let me start from the first word, which is o. Now, o in Igbo language is used to point to a thing, a person, a place, or an event. You can say, or Onya Emeliya, that is the person that did this. Or Ikenna Bolum na phone. It is Ikenna that called me on the phone. So the word or is a pointer word, and it can be used loosely to refer to it, he, she, what, or who. This goes into either a person, an animal, a place, a building, whatever, the sky, the sun, or mili cholizo. It is rain that wants to fall. Right? So we've gotten the meaning of o as something that introduces what you would call a noun. I'm going to use the Igbo language and English language to try to give you a good, like a perfect understanding of these terminologies. Now, o has been established. De can say to be is, or, and is also a pointer word that states that a particular thing, a practice, a phenomenon, or a location exists somewhere. It points to a position. Kedebe mgbilimgba adi, ọ dị n'enu table. Ọ dị is the position. It points to the position where it is. The o points to the thing itself, while the d points to the position where that thing is. So when you ask me, kedebe ki moto mudu, I say, ọ dị n'ọnụ moto. It is there at the ignition, or the n'enu table, or the n'ime ụlọ. D points to the location where something is. Right? So we've established o and we've established d. Then na. Na can be said to be used interchangeably with the words at, on, in, and is also a pointer word showing the location of that thing. D shows that that thing exists. It shows where it exists. This bell is existing, or D, meaning that it is there. Then na shows upon where it is, which is this table. So na can mean at, on, in, and is also a pointer word showing the location of a thing, practice, phenomenon, person, location, or a thing that exists. Na points to where the location of both material and immaterial things, both spiritual and physical things. Then Allah. Now, the Igbo cosmology or the Igbo philosophy has a group of meanings for the word Allah. Allah, first of all, is the ecosystem. As I am here right now, Omenala. And when the Igbo man says Omenala, in viewing Allah as the ecosystem, he means everything that is on earth. And so we say Allah Madu. Allah Madu is everything that you have here on earth. The trees, the animals, the plants, the humans, the sky, everything in the ecosystem you see, whether you see or you don't see, is what Allah is. Allah Madu, Allah Mmuo. Allah Mmuo is the spiritual realm. So Allah is the ecosystem encompassing everything in the universe. Allah also means ground, the land, the ground, the soil. Allah. Somebody says, Achọ m ije gote ala. Ala eji emegi n'ala nji alụ ụlọ. Aka ana m ji anụ nchọ iji were lụ ụlọ. What do you want to do? I want to go and buy land. Land to do what? Land to use to build a house. So Allah also means ground, the earth surface, the land, the soil. Allah also means community, a village, a town. And so you say, Nandoka anaghị eli enwe, mana n'ala anyị na-eli enwe. Na ndị ekwulu mmiri anaghị egbu eke, mana n'ala anyị na-egbu eke. Here, Allah now means community, town, region. Right? So this is the third meaning of Allah. Now, we now come to Allah, which is the earth, spiritual mother earth, deity. So we say, somebody comes to you and then, when you consult Alpha for the person, and you tell the person, Allah ben nagu na chok iboliano, which is the female deity, Allah, of your father's place, wants for you to sacrifice an animal to her. And then you go buy the goat or chicken, and then you go and offer a sacrifice to Allah. Ask for certain things, and then you get those things in return. So for us, Allah is the Mother Earth, the deity itself, the feminine deity, which is the Mother Earth. Now, I've mentioned Allah as the ecosystem, the entire world. I've mentioned Allah as the ground. I've mentioned Allah as the community. I've mentioned Allah as the earth deity. Right? Now, in all of these things, we will now join the words so that you get the clear meaning when we say we're going back to Odinana. Since O is showing a thing, D is pointing to where that thing would be. And Na is pointing where that thing is. And Allah means ecosystem. It simply means that Odinala means everything that is in the Igbo ecosystem. Everything that we have in the Igbo ecosystem is Odinana. Everything we have in the Igbo land or ground is Odinana. Everything we have in the Igbo community, our various communities, is Odinana. Everything we have as the Mother Earth, spiritually, is Odinana. So when you say you're going back to Odinana, you're going back to, first of all, everything in the Igbo ecosystem. You're going back to learn the herbs in your land. You're going back to learn your language. You're going back to learn the foods you have. You're going back to learn how you people marry. You're going back to learn how you do your masquerades. You're going back to learn Otuese and also. You're going back to learn how to marry, how to bring up children. You're going back to learn of the cash crops in your land. You're going back to learn the seasons, the times the rain comes, the time the sun rises. You're going back to learn everything about you as an Igbo person. Because for Ndi Igbo, Allah is not just the earth. It is the ecosystem. Everything. You're going back to learn about Ogilisi, Ora, You're going back to learn about Oji. You're going back to learn about Odala, that children come from Odala tree to the world. You're going back to learn about Mmili. The waterways and the water parts, which are deities also, that is in Allah. You're going back to learn about everything that encompasses you as an Igbo person. So in Odinana, if Odinana was a university, we will now have departments of language where you learn asusu Igbo. We have departments of food and nutrition where you learn the different foods and ingredients for making a healthy meal. You are going back to if Odinana was a university, and you have a department of say religion, for instance, or spirituality. That is where you go into Igo Mmuo. That's part of our Odinana, where we now have Nzu, Edo, Oji, where we offer Oji to our pantheons, where we offer sacrifices. Achuaja, Ndi Ichie, you offer sacrifice to your chi. Ichuola Agugu aja, Ichuolu Ndi Mmili aja, Ichuolu Ndi Igbo aja, Ichuolu Agugu ben Nagaja, Ichuolu Udo ben Nagaja, Ije na Mmili kwapi Ibu. All of those things is Igo Mmuo. And Igo Mmuo is just one department of Odinana. So someone who is teaching Igbo language, Nemeko Odinana. Someone who is who farms, Nemo Odinana. Someone who is a leader, like an Nzenozo, Nemeko Odinana, because he is on the political aspect. Someone who is a Dibia, Nemo Odinana, because he is in the department of medicine, counseling, spirituality, Igo Mmuo. All of these things encompass who we are as Ndi Igbo. So Odinana is all encompassing. If you go now and find out and discover a particular mineral in your village, and you begin to mine that mineral and begin to export it and begin to make money, in a more Odinana. Why? Because you have identified what you have in Allah as not just the ground, but your community and now your ecosystem. So when we say Odinana is Igbo Cosmology and Worldview, what is worldview? How you see the world. You wake up in the morning and you don't wake up in America. You don't see snow. So nothing concerns you with snow. What you see are the birds chirping, you see the Odala tree in your compound, you see the Ube, you see the Ako Ibo, and the rest. That is your Odinana. That is what you have on the ground. That is your ecosystem. You look into the sky and you see that it wants to rain. It is raining for you today. But it's not raining in Abuja. It's not raining in Lagos. It is not raining in Indonesia or China. It is the rain that is coming to you that is your own perception and understanding of Odinana. So Odinana is all encompassing. There, we have Aguguana. You come back to Odinana. When you say, I'm going back to my roots, I came back, I learned about my ancestry. I learned about my ancestors, my fathers up to the 10th generation in my father's house, father's lineage, my mother's lineage, you learn of your history, the things that happened, how you came to be. History is part of Odinana. We call it Aguguana. You come back and you learn about the Nso, the taboos of your land. The taboos we have in Igbo land is different from the taboos they have in Fulani land. The Fulanis can kill you and their lives will continue to go on. Here, if you kill somebody or Alo, you will go to Allah, the mother deity, and go and appease for that Alo you did. So you're learning history, Aguguala. You're learning Nsoala. You're learning asusu Igbo. You're learning Igo Mmuo, how to connect with spirits that are in Allah. Because the way we have Allah Madu, we have Allah Mmuo. As we are here in the physical, the spiritual is there, and we are all interchanging. What the Yamban does for the farmland is what the farmland does for the Yamban. What we do here in the land of the physical affects them in the spiritual, and what they do in the spiritual affects us in the physical. And so we have Igo Mmuo. How we connect to the spiritual pantheons and deities for a balanced ecosystem, for a balanced Allah. So Igo Mmuo is one department. Mbologunakpa, which is herbs, the herbs that cure sicknesses, is one department. And in that department, we have so many other sub-departments. We have neurology, we have those orthopedic, those who do bones, we have eye, we have mental. There's no type of department you don't find in Ombrogo. So when someone tells you that he went to Afa and Afa told him that he's supposed to be a herbalist to treat mental illness, and he returns back to Odinana and learns of his family history, knows those who treated that same sickness, learns of the herbs they used to treat it, he learns of the insult he should keep, he learns of his topography, the land, the places where he will go and get those herbs in his land. He learns of the water he is going to go and bring home, the water spirits that will help him to do that particular work. All of these things what is he doing? He is studying Ife Dinana, Odinana Bennai. It is under Odinana that we now have Omenana. Omenana is just one aspect of Odinana, which is just culture and tradition. Right? And under Omenana, we now have Odibende. So, I believe I've explained Odinana enough. Right? So, I will now go into explaining Omenana, because the issue is some people will say Odinana is a new word and it is a wrong word to use, or that it is idol worshipping. I will still get to that. Some people will say Odinana, no Omenana are the same thing. Some people will say Odinana is not supposed to be used, that it is Omenana. But I'm teaching you the differences. So now let us go into what Omenana is. Now, like I did the first time, I'm going to use etymology to also define Omenana. Kedifebo Omenana. There are 3 words in the word Omenana. We have Ome, which means to happen. We have Na, which is a pointer word, a location of where something is happening. And then we have Allah, which I had already defined. Now, Ome means happens, it means it happens, it means events taking place, it means done, it means to be done, it means doing, it means practices being carried out. All of these things is what the word Ome means for us. I'm using the English language so that a lot of us will understand even na kowa. Nkowa chaini na Igbo. Onwende ha gote ya anyi na-ekwu. Hapu ha na-akọ ife ha na-akọ. Oh, so Ome, this is what Ome means. Happens, to happen, doing, practices being carried out. Then the word Na means, the word Na is a pointer word that means at, on, in. And it shows a location of a thing, practice, phenomenon, or thing that exists. That is what Na means, like I explained earlier. Then Allah, like I had explained, means the ecosystem, the ground, the community, and all of that. So Omenana, in its simplest terms, means practices that happen in the Igbo ecosystem as pertaining our cultures and traditions. That is what Omenana is. You know? And so when you are coming back and you're saying you want to offer sacrifices to your ancestors, if I have Igo Mmuo, Igo Mmuo is part of Omenana, is also part of Odinana. There's nothing in Omenana that does not have Igo Mmuo in it. When you come for a traditional marriage, even as a Christian, you have Oji, Ebuta Oji, they'll present Oji to the in-laws. You who present him Oji would pray. You will call on Chukukele Nunana. After, in as much as our elders pray in Jesus' name. But that Oji, which we use in offering sacrifice to Ndi Ichie and to Chi and to Anyanguna Agbala and the rest, is also used in that Omenana, which is traditional marriage. After Igor fall with the kola nut, you would call on your ancestors. For those who call, you call on Chukele, and after that, they will break it and they will eat. That is Igo Mmuo, but it's also part of Omenana. Now, Omenana, which is that traditional marriage. We then come to things like child birth. A man, his wife gives birth. For those who do, he takes kola nut and calls on Chukwu and thanks Chukwu and breaks kola nut. Invites people and then they offer sacrifices, or just kill an animal and just eat. Child birth and upbringing is Omenana. Masquerade dances or masquerade performances is Omenana. Umunna having going for omenana meetings, burials, akwamozu, funerals and burials are omenana. That you bury a person and you don't give, you don't kill a cow for the person. It's a spiritual debt. You must kill a cow for your father before you even take cow to someone else to give the person when the father dies. If you do that, many people have died because they did not kill cows for their fathers and they went to go and give cows to their friends to bury their father. If omenana was just pure, normal practices, just plain practices, you can do that and go scot-free. But because Igo Mmuo is part of omenana also, when someone is buried, when someone marries, you marry a woman, you give them goats. Those goats are killed by the omenana. It is a sacrifice received by both those who are alive and both those who are dead. So omenana, both the masquerade dances, the Igba traditional marriages, the Ikozu, the Ime Mmanwu, and all of that, the Igbo Umuada, and all of that, Umunna, Umuada, whatever it is that comes into omenana of your town. Omenana. Kedebe ọ na-eme na ana ekwulu mmiri. Kedebe ọ na-eme na ana Igbo ukwu. It is the practices you then carry out in Allah, in the ecosystem, as pertaining to how you understand Allah. In parts of the world where they don't have things like yam, they don't do Iliji Ofo. But for us, Iliji Ofo is omenana, New Yam Festival. It's an omenana. And it also entails Igo Mmuo, because you're offering your Iliji, you will kill some goats or chickens or whatever. Those who kill to the ancestors, fine. Those who just go and buy meat in the markets and kill and cook, fine. But omenana, you're doing omenana, Iliji bo omenana na-eme na ana Igbo, because na anyị na-akọji. For places where they don't have yam, they can be doing ili potato or ili onions. But it is because that the G is peculiar to us. And even things like Omumede for women, Iliji for men and Omumede for women. Ede is cocoyam. It is when men eat yam, the man of the house has a month where he does Iliji. The woman has a day, a month or a day in a month where she does Omumede. Everything in Igbo omenana is because of these are the things we have in our land. Right? So, omenana is not the same with ordinana. Omenana is under ordinana. But omenana also has Igo Mmuo in it. However, Igo Mmuo has its own special department, which is Igbo Spirituality. But then when you combine ordinana and omenana, knowing fully well that omenana is under ordinana, and that ordinana covering both omenana and Igo Mmuo and Agugu and all of them, they are all intertwined. But you cannot come out and then say that ordinana, because now we're using the word ordinana because we're coming back to offer sacrifices to our pantheons as the major word. But the major word we should use is Igo Mmuo. I am going back to ordinana to learn Aguguana, to learn asusu, to learn Mbologunakpa Akwukwo, to do Igo Mmuo, to learn omenana and practice omenana. All of these things are all encompassing. Right? So when we say ordinana na omenana, it simply means ordinana na omenana do no ulo ordinana. Ordinana and the omenana that is under ordinana. And then in omenana we now have odibendi. Those specific omenana that is exclusive to certain regions. Those omenana that is exclusive to certain regions. In our part of the Inri jurisdiction, there are certain things that we do. Or say around 13 years, they will have to do Agu for the young men. In Imo State, it might be 10 years or it might be 20 years. Some of these slight differences that here in Ekulummili we don't kill eke and we don't eat eke. In Ebonyi State, they kill and eat eke. Omenana anyị forbids Igbo Eke. But omenana and Ndi Ebonyi does not forbid Igbo Eke. That is where it is now called Odibendi. If Ndi Bendi devalaha mbana sunonu nonu. So this is basically what Odinana and Omenana is. If there has ever been any confusion whatsoever what Odinana and Omenana is, this is what it is for the average person there to understand. Now, if you ask me, is Odinana idol worshipping? I will tell you no. Why? Igo Mmuo in itself, which is the spiritual aspect of what we do, is not even idol worshipping. It is our communion with nature, with Chukwu and everything Chukwu has created in our own ecosystem. That is what Odinana is. Which Igo Mmuo. Igo Mmuo is communion with spirits. It is not idol worshipping. We commune, we do not worship idols. When you offer a sacrifice to the Ungu tree was created by Chukwu. Chukwu planted Ungu tree on Allah. And Allah let the Ungu tree grow. And the Ungu tree helps you fight against witches and wizards or any evil machinations against you. When you take a cock, you will look up offer a sacrifice to that Ungu. It is communing with that Ungu for that Ungu to be activated on your behalf. What Chukwu has done is to give us various deities that work for us. You speak to the deity, tell the deity what you want it to do for you. And upon it doing that thing for you, you would offer it a sacrifice of blood. Blood is what? Blood is a binding agent that binds an agreement between Mmadu and Mmụọ. Taking up Oji alone is already a means for you to speak to that deity. Ndi Igbo na-asị na ife ahụ mmụọ na mmadụ na-eli iwelie gwa mmụọ okwu ma iwelie jụọ mmụọ ajụjụ na mmụọ ya asago. That thing men, human beings and spirits eat. If you use it to question or to speak to a deity, it will answer you. That is why we use Oji. When you use Oji to speak to a deity, to a spirit, it will answer you and it will go and do that work for you. If someone is trying to take your land and you go to Ngu or you go to Udo or you go to Agugu and say, nna anyi Ogugu, awapụlụ ngoji, na mmadụ na-achọ ịna man na mje n'ọlụ mọgụ. Because that Ogugu was planted on Allah by Chukwu, it would go into the spirit and look at the case amicably. And if that person is indeed oppressing you, it would go and fight the person. To do what? To bring you justice. So, Odinana is not idol worshipping. Those who worship idols are those who have molded the images of foreign deities, Jesus and Mary and the rest, with cement and are bowing down to them. Deities that you don't have communion with. Every deity or pantheon that we commune with in Odinana Igbo, it is an experience. We don't believe, we know. We understand spirituality, the connection of humans and spirits, and we know that this experience exists because we see them in Osena, but we see them in our dreams, and we know. We don't just believe and just pray January to December for somebody to come and help you, and the person never comes to help you. So Odinana is not idol worshipping. That we have images we carve to represent Opensi Chi, Mobi Kengachi, Mobi Kengandi Chi, and all of that is because we want to have a physical reference to our communion with Mmuo. Even some parts of the Bible where it said that the Israelites should carve an image for a cherubim. A cherubim is an alosi, but we don't know the meaning of the word. Cherubim means alosi. Carve an image, carve a cherubim. So the carving images we have is not, we don't worship them. We don't kneel down to any of those. We don't kneel down to any of the carved images. We carve them ourselves. We put them there, and when we offer blood, when we offer sacrifices, we just pour them there as an altar. However, it is still Ndi Igbo that says that alusi na alusi makali ike egosi osisi eji welote ya. If a pantheon or a deity becomes too aggressive, we the Igbo will show that alosi, the wood that we used to carve it. Meaning that there is no power. No. Meaning that there is no that carved image, it is us that erected it, and we can also unerect it. The spirit exists there in the spiritual. There are those who don't have carved images that they use to offer sacrifices to their chi and their Ndi Igbo. But each time they offer sacrifices will go. And they get what they want from the spirits. So, Igo Mmuo, which is under Odinana, it is not idol worshipping. And that's because the word idol worshipping was a derogatory term used to bastardize our way, our worldview, and our spirituality. We don't worship idols. So if you're going back to Odinana and someone tells you that it is idol worshipping, tell the person that it is not idol worshipping. Going back to Odinana is going back to understand who you are fully as Onye Igbo. Everything about you, spirituality, history, language, food, everything, your dressing, attire, everything about you. That is what Odinana is. And it is a beautiful thing. Omenana is beautiful. Odibende how the bende is beautiful. So that is what Odinana and Omenana is. If you still have any confusions as to my explanations, you can do well to comment. Do well to send me a private message if you need further clarifications. But I believe that, or I know, because we don't believe in Igbo land, we know. I know that my explanations are sufficient and should be enough for you to understand what Odinana and Omenana is. I remember my humble self, Chukandune Soko, the editor at Voice of the Sun, a teacher at Voice of the Sun. And till I come your way again with another engaging and educative episode.